Based on our earlier training, you've now created a solid idea-based PowerPoint presentation with a great design template. But you want to make your word ideas jump off the screen without scaring your audience. I got you covered. I will show you how to turn your individual slides into strong communication visuals by adding graphic elements to enhance your presentation without becoming cheesy and keep your audience engaged. This is rated A for all and has powerful tips and tricks for both new and longtime PowerPoint users to turn you into a PowerPoint master. The first 3 minutes discuss strategies to building effective slides, and the last 28 minutes are fast-paced training sessions on the individual elements, including both when to use and how to use based on my decades of experience. Take a look at the ideas over here. Now, let's power up to adding graphic elements to PowerPoint with style. Human ideas can be communicated in a variety of methods, which is great because different people learn through different mediums. Up to this point, we've focused on building the foundation of your presentation based on ideas as expressed by words. Now, we'll learn how to illustrate your individual slides, but only if appropriate and if it adds value. We want to avoid gratuitous frills and be laser focused on effective communications. I'll be centering our training on serious presentations that require a professional appearance. If you have a different audience, be it a 5th grade class presentation or a close-knit team meeting, you can still use this technique, but you can loosen up and have a bit more fun. Make sure the message matches the target environment. To accomplish our goals, we will cover the following presentation components. PowerPoint has tons of tools in the toolbox. Some are more useful than others. I'll focus on the most commonly used enhancements that focus on specific slide elements. Future training videos will expand upon these tools and introduce other steps that will deal with the presentation as a whole. In this training video, we'll be demonstrating the most recent version of Office 365 as of fall 2020. However, if you happen to be using an older version, we will highlight significant differences by comparing and contrasting with PowerPoint 2013. And at the end, we will see some design ideas that are unique to the most recent version of Office 365. All in all, give Microsoft credit for keeping the menus the same for over 7 years, something they failed to do at the years before. And what you learn today will be good for years to come. Also, this presentation you're seeing is filled with things not to do. I'll point them out as we go along, including this warning box. It is way overkill to 1. Angle the box, 2. Use different fonts for the word warning, plus 3. Combine caps and italics and bold and underline. Please show some restraint. Don't yell and shout at the same time. One more thing, my training videos will sometime employ some over-the-top visuals to help learning over YouTube. I am not creating a corporate video here. I'm trying to get you up to speed as quickly and effectively as possible within YouTube. This reiterates my mantra of having the message match the environment. Okay, here's a quick review. Let's reset this to a basic presentation by going to Design and selecting the second choice from the left, which puts everything back to basic. See how we have the outline view? Always start here as things will flow smoothly. See our previous YouTube training lessons on outlines. Note how the warning box is rogue. It is not on the outline. and it can get messed up. Look at how the design template treats it in unpredictable fashions. So, start in outline mode, then apply a design template, and now we can get down to the business of enhancing specific slides with additional elements. On this slide, I just pulled the text from an earlier slide, which has its own problems that we will discuss in a moment. Look at the before and after and see how the before is just a long list of items. Way too many items to be effective. It is just one long list with no emphasis. Eyes will glaze over if you show this slide. So let's renovate this slide by first breaking it up into 2 columns of text by way of the layout change to 2 content. This is better, but still too much text. Now just spread across the slide. Let's do better. First off, as I hinted, the slide has other issues, such as a mixture of multiple messages. Let's get rid of everything that is not related to enhancing the slide. Let's create 2 parallel ideas groupings, enhancing into text and enhancing into graphics. Well, we have now organized the 2 distinct concepts of enhancing by text and by graphics. We can do better visually by using the indenting the elements and then formatting the lead bullet points with bigger font and boldness. Let's go down the rabbit hole on fonts and typography. There's a whole craft and art about typography that is best left to the professionals. Different font families communicate different emotions and might be more or less visible in a different medium. A dreamy font may convey a mood, but it may be hard to read on the slide across the room. Attempt to limit your presentations to 2 font families, or better yet, just 1. Avoid the ransom letter look by mixing too many fonts. To be safe, stay with the design template defaults. Also, be careful about using too many fonts enhancements. Don't mix bold with underline with italic. Remember our warning example at the beginning of this presentation? Choose just 1 font enhancement for emphasis. Otherwise, you're rudely shouting from your slide. With all that said, there is a quick advanced user technique in PowerPoint and also in Word that lets you emphasize a title beyond bold or color. It's called small caps. Go to the Home menu, click on the downward arrow for font, and choose small caps. You could also just right-click on the selected text and choose font. See how the actual capitalized letter is bigger than the non-cap, but they all look like caps. Subtle, but effective. Now, to make it match on both columns, use the Format Painter brush to keep consistency. Click on the painter brush once on the formatting you like, and then a single click on a word or a click and drag over multiple words will apply that formatting to the target highlighted word. Note that if your cursor is on just one part of the word, it will still pick up the whole word formatting, and the target click just needs to be on the part of the word or the whole sentence to apply the new formatting. Font size and empty space. One more trick. Fill up the page with larger fonts. You want the slide to be readable from across the room. Go to the Home menu, select the text box with a single click and see the dotted lines around. Hold down your Shift key and click the second column text box. Now use the font grow and shrink icons to get it to look just right. Negative space is okay as long as your audience can read the message from the back of the room. But stay consistent on the page and across the page before and after to make sure things look just right. Here's a little more on font sizing for the most recent version of Office 365. Autofit. If the text has too many lines, you can select the text box, hover over it to get choices. Note that PowerPoint will mess with you if you have too many lines by shrinking the font size away from your standard, so be aware of that. Now that we're done, let's compare the before and after. As you can see, the after is a cleaner look and actually uses the text as graphic element to highlight our concept of having two different techniques, text enhancements and graphic enhancement. And notice that we're using the exact same number of bullet points, which creates a symmetry that is good for emphasizing our concept and also is visually pleasing. Text boxes. I've warned you to stay away from text boxes in previous training videos, and we will see why in a few moments. But there may be times when you want to highlight a very specific item by way of a text comment, wanting it to jump out on purpose. Here's the mechanics. To put in a free-floating box, you need to go into the Insert menu. There, select the text box, and then go onto the canvas of your slide. Click and drag to create a box that you want the text to be typed in. Once you let go of the mouse, click inside and type in the text. Don't worry, we can resize the text box at any time. If you want to change the location, you can move to the border of the box and get the four-way arrow. Click and drag it around. To resize, click on any corner or side point and resize the box. What I'm about to show you is specific to the more recent versions of Office 365, but there are similar variations that you'll see on the screen for the older Office PowerPoints. However, all recent versions of PowerPoint, all of the Office products like Word and Excel, has this feature of hiding menus until they're needed. In this case, the Shape Format menu is not displayed until you select a shape. Watch when I click on the open space on the slide, the Shape Format menu disappears, and I click on the shape and it reappears. So let's use the Shape Format menu. Since we want to emphasize the text box, we need to do some stylization. Specifically, we're going to do the following. We're going to size the box to fit the text with a little extra space and see how it auto sizes. Then we want to put a border around the box to make it stand out, including adding a color to increase the line size. Then let's change the fill color inside the box. And we're going to add that glass look to make it seem like it's transparent. By going into the color, and within the full color, we can choose the transparency. In this case here, let's try 80. And then as we move it around, you're going to see that we need to then change the stacking order. Actually, this is layered on the top at the moment, but if we needed to, we could actually go in and bring it to the front or bring it in one step at a time. We can move it, our finished box, next to the word text box on our slide to call out what we're working on. But we can get just a bit more fancy to specifically call out the part of the slide that we're referencing. So let's change the shape from a basic text box to a callout shape. Click the shape we want to change, click the Shape Format menu, select Edit Shape, change the shape, choose one of the callouts. From here, we can move the box to a more attractive open space on our slide with generous open space around, and then we click on the tip of the callout to move the pointer up to the word text box. Text box, danger, danger. Let me show you the danger of text boxes if they're done too early in the slide prep process. Go up to Design and preview some of our layout designs and look at how the text box no longer quite matches and it actually is off with some strange color choices. So you need to be careful and only add the text box at the very last moment of your slide design process. Next up in our category of text enhancements, WordArt. This will be super quick. Go to Insert, go to WordArt, look at the various effects, and now look that it's been added on the top layer after we type in our text. The last move for this, don't. It looks like an amateur move. Stay away from it. Tables may present data more clearly. Look at this work coverage schedule in all text. Is it obvious what day is not covered? And what days have bonus coverage of 3 teams? Here's the same info, but shown in a table. Now, it's closed on Sunday pops out. With bonus shifts on Thursday and Friday, and Saturday, everyone works. Okay, here's the steps to create a table. Go up to Insert, choose Table, then choose the number of rows and columns. Here's the columns and now the rows. Don't worry about the rows. We can easily add more rows as we go along. Then, once you go ahead and let go, the table's created and you can start to fill in the data by typing into the cells one by one, hitting the Tab key to go from left to right. And when you hit the end of the row, the Tab key will take you to the next row down below. Continue as needed. When you create the table, it follows the design based off the original design template, but you can go up to Table Design and choose a variety of different types of looks and feels for your table. Note, there are actually 2 hidden menus. Remember our earlier tutorial on hidden menus? Select the object and bingo, the new menus pop up, or in this case, 2 menus, Table Design and Table Layout. So to recap, we want to illustrate our ideas using the best method. Here, a text-based table is more clear than just a bullet list. Data is just data, but interpretation through graphics turns the same data into valuable knowledge. And knowledge can be acted upon. If you wish for a deeper dive into creating and managing tables, leave a comment below on our YouTube video and I'll create a specific training session. But do note, simple tables work great in PowerPoint. However, if you are struggling beyond the basics, then you may be trying to show too much on a slide. Another PowerPoint no-no. If you can easily scan a table that's included in under 30 seconds and understand why it's included, then you're good to go. Otherwise, you may need to present your data in a different way to make it more digestible. The goal of your presentation is to impart knowledge to your audience or to move them to an action. So you must present a convincing case for your cause. This may require presenting data in different formats. Different people process information differently. Some need to hear a convincing argument. Others need to read the facts, and others need to have a picture for them to visualize. You need to decide how best to present your case. As we've seen, some text data can be better represented in different formats. However, some data is best seen in a visual graphic, and some situations require a hybrid approach. And not every graphic adds to the picture, as we can see with this silly little photo added to our diagram here. So, let's see the mechanics of adding graphics to our slides, but please be judicious. Housekeeping note, Office 365 has expanded the choices and not all is available for older versions. Along the way, I will show you some similar screens from Office 2013. Let's start with a blank page, just for demonstration purposes. The next steps are not an endorsement for cheesy art. I'm just showing you the mechanics of how to insert pictures. Go to Insert menu, choose Pictures, then choose Stock Images. From there, you'll see that we have a set of items, the stock images, a variety we'll talk about in a moment. There's also a few more pieces we'll cover, such as icons, cutout people, and stickers. But let's come back to those in a moment and talk about stock images. What is a stock image? Images created by photographers to be used in the future for unknown content, as opposed to being commissioned to make a specific image for a specific job. Stock images can be used in national advertising campaigns or in a boardroom or a classroom PowerPoint presentation. Is stock photography free? Some images require payments for use. Some are royalty free, but you need to attribute where it came from. And some have no strings attached. You need to find out before using an image if you have the rights by examining the digital rights. If you're using Office 365 and looking through this list, then you are good to go. These images are royalty free. If, however, you do a Google image search, you need to do your homework. And if you want high quality, unique images, you might explore the paid services such as Shutterstock or Adobe Stock Images. Personally, I've used Shutterstock when I'm looking for a very, very specific image with a specific look. Here is a Shutterstock image that cost me around $10. One that I was incapable of drawing on my own. It was used to make my point about a very specific project. But Microsoft has lots to choose from for free. Let's take a quick tour of the pictures. We go to Picture, Insert Pictures, and from here, we're able to take a look at the stock pictures, which we spend a fair amount of time looking at. Now we have icons. These icons can be dropped in as little symbols. In fact, you could go through and find a very specific set of symbols that you'd want to use potentially for a bullet point, although I'm not overly keen about using these as bullet points. I like to stick with the design. Let's go back into Insert and Pictures, and once again, the stock images. We then have something that's called cutout people. And you'll notice these cutouts, there's a screen that seems to be in the background. This screen will become transparent so that when you bring it into the slide, you'll only see the person and everything else will come through the background. Under stickers, these are a little more playful. Once again, maybe not right for your corporate piece, but they're there. Let's look again back at the cutout people. I'm going to choose a few. We'll click on them. And we're going to add them in. You can see when they added in, and sure enough, the background's available. We can rearrange these. The whiteboard on the person on the left actually is something we could now insert a text box. When you insert the text box, I'm going to be typing something in. Unfortunately, the font currently is white, so you're not able to see what I'm typing, but that's okay. We can go back and fix that by highlighting the text, and then going in and selecting a color to make it visible. Here we go. Which brings up the point. Why? You must have a compelling reason for clip art. Let's take a look at a few examples of things that aren't going to work quite right. How about this one? Our project is just beginning and we have blue skies in front of us. What does this picture do? It's not really blue skies. It's pretty, but it doesn't really add to our presentation. Or this one. Oh my goodness. If you use this in a corporate boardroom, you would never hear the end of it. Stay away. What about sports? You can't go wrong with sports, can you? Yes, you can. Some people don't care about sports. And look at this. We've got a trite picture, and then we're using WordArt. No, please stop it. Stop it. Then here's our next one. This one actually didn't come from photos, but instead it came under 3D models. When you drop it in, you can then click and drag and show different perspectives of that particular piece of art. I was going to tell you, no, 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 stay away from this. But my 30-something graphic artist daughter looked at this and go, oh, hey, that's kind of cute. And it goes back to my original statement. Make sure you understand your audience and put in what's appropriate. Lastly, you can bring in photos from your own computer, but be careful about these huge images. Today's high pixel photos can make your PowerPoint presentation's file size balloon, which may slow up the presentation or make it impossible to send the saved presentation by email. But if you do bring your own photos, select it in PowerPoint, look for picture format, and then compress pictures. This will let you shrink the image saved file to match your needs. What does that mean? Some photos are big enough to print out on a billboard, but your photos only need to have a smaller resolution to match your screen output, thereby reducing the file saved size. Note that inserting video is possible, but that goes beyond this training video as it introduces complexity not only to the presentation size, but how it will play out in a conference room. SmartArt. Since Office 2013, Microsoft has introduced an enhancement to create custom SmartArt to communicate complex ideas. Our first example is just a quick trick. Take our list of items, right-click, choose Convert to SmartArt, then preview the transformation. Did this change our presentation? It might have, if consistently done. Let's look at creating a more complex example that turns a list of actions into a process. So we've highlighted our bullet list. We've right-clicked on the selected text. We're then going to go up to Convert to SmartArt. We can take a look at some of the samples that are on the screen here, but this is only a subset. What we could instead is go on down to more SmartArt, and now we see a variety of categories. In our particular situation, we're working with a process. We could choose a process and bingo, we have it converted into a sequence of events that's highlighted with the arrow. This adds value to a set of bullet points. If we so desire, we can actually go back in and add in one more item or even edit what's on the list. And once we're done, we click and have what looks like an effectively, professionally created piece of graphic art, which if we want, we could tweak just a little more by looking at some of the pre-done variations. Very cool. Charts. Just like SmartArt, charts is a whole new dimension, but by 10. Sometimes only charts can tell the story in a visual format. Take a look. Here's a table of inflation of stock market prices over the years. The table's too small to read and too many items to digest. There's no easy way to understand if there's a relationship. But let's see a graphical representation of the data. Look how almost instantaneously we can see the relationship between the two. This is magic, but it's also a lot of hard work. Let me fly through the recreation of this chart in PowerPoint, but know the details will be covered in a follow-up training video for advanced users. Get ready, here we go. We'll choose Insert. From Insert, we're going to insert a chart. From Chart, we have a variety of different styles to choose from, and that's an important choice. In our case, Line will be the most illustrative of our choices. You'll see it drops it right in the middle, and it uses some basic data just to hold some pieces. I'm going to go to our table. I'm going to select everything. I'll do a Control-C to copy. I'm going to go in and select the whole data entry field. I'll do a right-click, do a paste. Because we only have 2 columns, it gives us a little error message. We can take out the third series, which is no longer needed. And bingo, we have a chart. Maybe it's a little hard to see because we have the other elements in there. So we'll resize it. And while this looks quite right, it's not, because our CPI and our S&P 500 prices work off different scales. So I'm going to click on the CPI. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to use a different axis. And you'll see on the right side, we can switch it to a secondary axis that will pop up along the right side. And now these are much more aligned so that we can compare the results. We also need to add some titles so that people know which axis is which, what the chart is for, and we'll zip through and add these pieces in place. But as you can tell, while graphs are extremely informative, they take a fair amount of work to put together. And this is only one of multiple graphs that can be created. Each graph can tell a different story. I love charts, but I've also been haunted by too many charts in a PowerPoint. Some data in group meetings can only be understood graphically, but if the amount of data is too complex, or too many charts per page, or too many slides with charts, you will lose your audience. Remember our mantra, less is always more. Lastly, let's look at a tool that was introduced in Office 365. It won't be available in the older versions of PowerPoint. Design Ideas is a panel on the right side of your screen that may or may not pop up. To make it appear, go to Design and select Design Ideas. As you click on your individual slides, it will propose an alternate layout. By now, you know that I'm a huge fan of design templates because they were carefully crafted by human graphic design artists. This tool is not as carefully curated as it is an AI, artificial intelligence, or semi-intelligent designer. Some of these work great, and some are plain bad. Feel free to play with the tool, and if you elect to use, try to match the style across your slides. Maybe not every page, but if you do use it on multiple pages, make sure the styles and the colors and the layout match. We just covered a ton of tricks and tips to customize each slide for effective presentations. And we're almost in the final stretch of our Mastering PowerPoint training series. Our next training session, Setting the Stage for Your Presentation, will help you put the final touches on your PowerPoint. We will get to the slides prepped with animation and slide transition, plus some pro tricks on sections, closing slides, and hidden slides. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. If you want more Power Up training videos, press the like button and subscribe to follow me on YouTube. Subscriptions help support the channel. If you want a copy of these tips, visit our webpage at power-up.training. See the link down below in the notes. Next up is setting the stage for PowerPoint presentations. Click on the link somewhere on the screen here. Or to start the complete Mastering PowerPoint training playlist, if you've missed some of the previous modules, go ahead and click on the link on the screen also. Now, go power up.